Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, my entitled mother went completely crazy when I started dating an Asian girl. She went on a racist tirade, and when I married the love of my life, the situation got even worse. My mother insisted I must give her my house, and I don't know what to do. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. I have read many stories about entitled parents on here, and I wanted to share the experience I had with my own mother. Now, she is very clingy and, unlike most mothers, did not want me to get married. She wanted her son to stay with her forever and got upset when I started dating a girl. She hated this girl for many reasons, but the biggest issue of all for her was the fact that my girlfriend was Asian. My mother and I are both white, but she is extremely racist. She kept telling me that she only wanted me to be with a white girl, and the fact that my girlfriend is Asian would ruin my life. It was a hard road, with my mother being very toxic and me refusing to break up with a girl because of her. She started acting like I was personally ruining her life, so I did not even tell her before I proposed to my girlfriend. When my mom found out about the wedding, she tried to do everything in her power to stop it. She wanted to be involved with every part of it for the sole purpose to sabotage it. I was on top of everything though and stopped her from sending the invitation to the wrong addresses to having the cake include something my fiancé was allergic to. I basically had to tell her to stop, and anything else she did would result in her not coming to the wedding. She did come, but the entire time tried to crowd over me and get between me and my now wife. She also was not happy about her side of the family being there, along with our friends who are all mix of all different kinds of races. I did not grow up with a father, and she was the only parent that I had at my wedding, so I was really upset when she could not be supportive. My wife had a good job, was super sweet, and shared the same interests as I did. We were really perfect for each other, and everybody else could see it except for my mother. I started pushing away from her during all of this, and I had mixed feelings about it. I knew it was the right thing to do because of her behavior, but she was my mother, so it did hurt. I did not end up talking to her much for a few months after the honeymoon. Me and my wife found a house to move to because our apartment lease was up and we wanted somewhere bigger to start our new lives together. We talked about wanting kids, so the house seemed like the right move to make. Around that time, my mom was trying to reach out to me again, and I was giving her another chance. She had lost her job and was in a tight situation financially. Despite all the stuff that she did, I was willing to give her a chance and got into a phone call with her. Me, I'm really sorry to hear about you losing your job. Is there anything I can help you out with? Do you need some money for the bills? Mom, no, I can't afford it here without a job. I saw that you were moving to a nice big new house though. I was wondering if I could stay there instead. Me, there is plenty of room and I would love to have you come and stay with us. I think we can all put everything in the past and start over fresh again. I just have to talk to my wife, but I'm sure it will be fine. Mom, what are you talking about? I cannot live in the house with her. Me, you just said you wanted to come and stay with us. Mom, no, I want to go and live in the new house. I am your mother and you owe it to me. I raised you all of these years, and with the disappointment you became, a house would really make up for it. Me, I cannot just give you the house. You can stay with us for a while if you need, but that's the only thing I'm offering. Mom, I cannot live in a house with that racial slur. I will probably get something horrible and die because of her. Me, don't talk that way about the woman I married. If you refuse to get over yourself and your racism, then there's not anything left to discuss here. I hung up the phone and was angry about the entire thing. I really thought for a moment my mom wanted to try and make things better, but instead she was just as entitled and toxic as ever. I knew it was best to cut my ties with her if she was going to act this way. In her mind though, I must have done something horribly wrong that deserved to be punished. Her idea was that if she couldn't have the new house, then I could not have it either. Also, it turned out that she didn't actually lose her job or apartment. She just did not think that it was fair for me to get a house for my wife but not one for her, which makes no sense to me. Anyway, she decided that she was gonna burn down the house in order to get some crazy revenge. The only problem was somebody saw her outside the house pouring lighter fluid and called the police on her. We did not move in fully yet, but we did own the home, so we were called saying somebody was on the property pouring lighter fluid and claiming to be the owner. We quickly went down there and saw my mother arguing with the police. I went over and she told me to tell them how she was allowed to be at the house because I gave it to her. Instead, I told the truth and said my mother was not invited on the property and I never gave her the house. Along with lighter fluid, they found matches on her, and when she was caught, she threatened to burn the entire place down. When she was getting arrested for attempted arson, she just kept saying that they had to arrest the real criminal. That, of course, being my wife, who during all of this crap had done nothing wrong and rightfully wanted my mother to stay far away from her. The last thing I heard from her was an admission that she assumed we were both in the house and wanted me to go up in flames with it. This was after she got read her rights, so what she said could now be used against her in court. The arrest got her in some serious trouble for attempting to burn down a house and wanting the owners to die inside with it. I guess she assumed if I was to die, she would then get the house. Maybe. I don't really know, but the fact that my mother over time went from wanting me to never leave home to wanting me dead was a roller coaster. I just wanted to be safe, and we ended up having to get a restraining order against her. Family holidays are hard because of this, and I mainly spent them with my wife's family. Side note that her family does not care I'm a different race than them, and from day one opened their arms to me. As much as I wanted to fix the relationship with my mother, I realized that some people are not worth trying to get along with. She was toxic to me in ways that I did not even know until I had moved on and started my own life. We are now expecting our first child, and I can guarantee that I will never let my mother near that baby. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would say good on OP. He certainly made the correct decision in not allowing his mother to be anywhere close near that child. However, then again, if I would have been OP, I would have never given that woman another chance. Let us know in the comments what you would have done. The next one is titled, She Gets Fired, I Get the Job. A few years ago, I had the pleasure of working with Kim. Kim had an administrative job at our shared place of business, and we worked together for about a year. She was not a great employee, mainly due to attitude and a constant stream of missed time for assorted reasons, most of which seemed to be BS. Kim eventually found her dream job, which we discovered after she failed to call or show up for 3 days straight. We parted amicably enough, even allowing her to resign to avoid ending things on a negative note, and that was the end of that. In Kim's absence, Lee had been promoted and quickly proved to be excellent at the job. Consequently, we were not really all that excited when Kim reappeared about a week after her departure, sobbing and begging for her job back. The dream job had not been very dreamy after all, and she was running low on funds. Moved by her pleas on behalf of her children, the manager agreed to bring her back on a trial basis to fill the vacancy left when Lee was promoted. It was stepped down from her previous position, but it was immediately available. A short, very blunt conversation ensued where she demanded to know why she couldn't just have her old job back. We explained again that the position had been filled and that the entry-level spot we were offering was the only thing available. We pointed out that she had been a no-call, no-show and that she had burned a lot of bridges with the company by the poor way she handled her departure. The offer of any position with the company again was a kindness pure and simple. She then said, "Well, the only reason I came back was because I figured you would miss me and want me back. I don't really think I need to take a step down, do you?" This resulted in a long silence. I was on the verge of telling her to just forget about it when she got up to leave. She seemed to sense that she was pushing her luck and said, "I really appreciate the opportunity. Maybe some doors will open for me and I'll be able to move back up soon." Whatever, I half expected her to blow it off and just never come back. However, she came in late the following day and accomplished almost nothing. Instead, she divided her time between hovering over Lee and hiding in the break room with her cell phone. After being asked repeatedly to return to her work, she abruptly left without a word. The next day she did not come in at all, and we left a voicemail at the end of the day informing her that her employment had been terminated and that her final check would be mailed. The following day she arrived bright and early and demanded a meeting with the manager. Upon being told that she would not get a meeting and that she was not welcome on the premises, she threw a massive tantrum in full view of the office. She said that it was unfair that we had taken her job away and given it to Lee, and that she had kids to feed and that we needed to be nicer. We explained that she wasn't entitled to the job and that she had squandered all of her bargaining power by walking out twice. Furthermore, the job was taken, it was now Lee's. She then dropped her purse along with the immortal line, "So just fire her, so I can have it back." It was one of those moments that just sticks with you. We were all kind of shocked at her audacity and single-minded selfishness. Lee was really uncomfortable, as you can imagine, and quickly left the room. Without saying much of anything, I picked up Kim's purse, handed it to her, and walked her out. She sat outside for a long time and then left. She called back 6 months later and asked if we were ready to give her a fair chance. We declined. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would love to hear from you. If you would have been in OP's position, would you have taken that person back or not? Let us know in the comments about your decision. The next one is titled Revenge Served Correctly. I've had a lot of issues for years with one of my neighbors parking their cars on my driveway. To be very accurate, it is not their cars, but people visiting them. Typically it's family, and his father in particular is very annoying and also particularly indifferent to my complaints. The neighbor himself is actually okay and we get on well enough. My driveway is wide, it can fit 4 cars easily, 6 cars if you pack them, so I guess the size of unused real estate was tempting considering how lazy people are. They can park their cars about 60 yards away in a small parking area. Last year in particular, my neighbor's father would park there at any time for any reason. Even when I was home, he is getting old, 75-ish now, but he is not senile, so this is just pure belligerent behavior. As well as calling the police is not helpful, they won't do much. He is just an old man. It's private property, we cannot tow the car. You have to get it towed at your cost, etc. In general, this is not a problem, they are very interested in it and I'm not keen to really push it that far. He parks there because it is a shorter walk and it's how we did things in the old days. And well, last year crossed some lines, so I did get a sliding gate installed this year. It's a really solid one, commercial grade, on rails and with steel bars. I did not really want this gate, but given my driveway is quite wide, this is the one they had in stock, and waiting for the right one would take weeks and I was just about to be done with the constant annoyance. In fairness, whenever I would call or text my neighbor, they would come and move the cars. But it was annoying as hell. Well, it is Christmas 2022 and we went to visit friends. Last year they were at our place, so this time it is their turn. But I did forget to close the gate. And well, one thing worth mentioning is that there is a switch on the wall. This switch closes the gate. You push it, it closes, but it won't open it. To open it, you need the key, the remote OR, to open it from inside the house with a code, and it's December, so it gets dark around 4:45 p.m. At around 5 p.m, I get a message from my neighbor. Actually, I get about 10. And then a call. He is in a panic. I check my video system to see what's going on, and what I see there is absolutely glorious in its splendor. His father parked there about 2 p.m, and then around 3 p.m, some other family members came in 2 cars. Around 5 p.m, it was dark outside, a 4th car with guests pulled in, and obviously looking for a light, someone pushed that button and the gate closed. We won't be back until Tuesday. The phone call was hefty, but I just had to be direct and tell them they knew not to park there, and they did so anyway. Probably one of them will make the 4-hour drive to where we are now to pick up one remote and then drive 4 hours back on Christmas Day. I don't even know if this is revenge, as they did absolutely everything by themselves, but it sure feels revenge-like to me right now. Edit, I've had a phone call with the neighbor, not the dad, just now, and it seems that he too has been incredibly frustrated and had more than one fight with his father in particular. It is him who gets my message or calls, but it's his family who does the parking. Last night he refused to give them a lift home, forcing them to order a taxi, which is quite hard here as we are in the boonies and it is Christmas. He now hopes that this finally teaches them to cut it out and walk the 50 yards from the shared parking to his house. For those who said to refuse to budge, it is tempting. But this is a rural community. I don't want to be the a-hole and have people in the local restaurants refer to me as that guy who called the cops on an old man or denied people access to their cars in a rural area for 4 days. It just won't sit well. They will get the remote, but they have to come to me and my neighbor will give it back. People can be dumb, but they are not so as to turn a minor and petty squabble into a full-blown neighborhood war. And the next one is titled Fast Food Addiction. My son, 22 male, is a picky eater. My cousin was getting married and had a lovely reception with a nice buffet. Johnny was not a fan of what was served, so I let him leave and get some food. Word spread amongst our family where he was going, and a few people asked him to bring things back, so he did. We are at a table near the dance floor, and you could probably smell it there, but nobody in our immediate family had a chance problem, even the bride and groom. However, apparently the venue and the family of the bride were appalled, and I don't understand why. It was a great party, but he wanted something different and other people did too. So, Reddit, am I the butthole? And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that OP was the a-hole for enabling her son to get fast food at a wedding or not? Let us know in the comments. And by the way, he is 22 years old and in college. He has no medical issues, he just has a limited palate. When I said let, I meant let him take my car since we all rode together. Further added, the food was served buffet style, a nice soup, salad, tenderloin, barbecue beef, pasta, a few other selections. It was actually really good for wedding food. Everyone else who partook in the fast food did so because, well, it was there and tasted good. They did not really have a problem with the venue's food, also as some people said 1 or 2 chicken bones did end up in the floor in the venue. Which was kind of unfortunate. Comment number 1, you are the a-hole for sure. You should have arranged something beforehand instead of doing it like this. And by the way, stop enabling your adult son. He is 22. Comment number 2, you are the a-hole. At most, he should have slipped out, eaten and returned quietly. Letting it be known and eating at the reception is a very a-hole move. You were rude, disrespectful and trashy. Apologize and teach your son better. Also, he is 22. Enabling much? The farmer and the hog farm. One of my neighbors is a farmer, and personally, I think he is one of the best guys in the neighborhood. It is funny though, because he is the only farm with the areas all around him now being housing. He owns about 20 acres of land, and since it is only him, he was thinking of using some of his land to build housing and only keeping a few acres to run as the farm. This seemed reasonable, and he went to the city to find out what his options about it were. They found he could build lots roughly 2 acres in size, but he wanted to build housing that looked more like the streets next to his home. They were more densely packed, and he went to the city with that proposal. They accepted it, and honestly from there you would think this would be the end of a very short happy story. Unfortunately though, that was not the case, as some nosy neighbors needed to get involved. See, on the other side of his property the houses were more spread out, and they didn't want the farmer to build dense houses because it would look so different than theirs. The city told him that he needed to come to a resolution with the neighbors because otherwise they could object to the construction and stop the whole process for months or even years. The farmer was friendly though and went up to them trying to find a solution. He offered to build the larger spaced out houses on that side of his property for them, and the rest would be the dense housing that he wanted. It would cost him more money in the long run, but he wanted to just get a quick solution. They didn't like it though and demanded that he do the entire property as large lots. Now, messing with a farmer tends to be a bad move no matter how nice they are, so with his housing plans ruined, he withdrew his application and came up with a better idea. He still did not want to use all of that land for crops anymore, so he was going to get some residents that did not need a housing plot. These came in the form of a large group of hogs that he adopted onto his farm. Now, some of you might be asking why they are considered hogs and not pigs. Well, as far as I can tell from looking at them, hogs are clearly much larger. And if you get too close, they also seem to be a tad bit smellier, but that might just be my imagination. As you can imagine though, the neighbors were not happy about this change from a bunch of nice houses potentially being built to their new neighbors being a bunch of hogs. They were so upset that they tried to go to the town and force the farmer to get rid of them. It was a farm though, and he had every right to turn it into an animal farm if he wished, and he decided to just go all the way with the hogs. I even asked him one day if it was expensive to get all of the hogs, and he said between the hogs themselves and the supplies it cost him a lot for an animal that, unlike cows or chickens, did not produce anything he could sell. He was really pleased with himself, and I got to be there when one of the neighbors stormed up to yell at him about it. "Neighbor, what the hell do you think you are trying to pull here? I tell you no to your ugly housing plan and you decide to get a bunch of pigs?" Farmer, "Ma'am, I'm just respecting that you didn't want me building the houses there. Clearly people were going to miss the farmland being so close to them, so I decided to give the people what they wanted. You had a choice between human neighbors and hogs, and now you get the beauty of having hogs." Neighbor, "Listen, we can talk about the housing. What you said before about the large lots by us and then the rest being dense, I'm willing to talk more about that." Farmer, "No can do, ma'am. I already bought the hogs, and they call this farm home now. I cannot take it away from them to build housing now that the land is being used." The neighbor left angry and kept telling everyone that the farmer was stubborn and unwilling to negotiate anymore. They tried again to go to the city and claimed that he didn't have the kind of licenses to be keeping giant hogs on his farm. Turns out that he went one step further and got every type of permit that he might need to protect himself and the hogs to stay right where they are on the property. He even managed to get a permit stating that his farm was a protected wetland. I have no idea how he managed this, but apparently if they take him to court he will be able to get a lawyer. The cherry on top though is that all the kids from the neighborhood absolutely love the hogs and constantly want to go to the farm to see them. They are telling their parents that they want to be hog farmers when they grow up, and it is hard not to laugh at the looks on their faces when they realize that all of this could have been avoided if they just let the farmer build the houses like they wanted. Instead though, they are now forced to take their children to see the cute hogs and stand awkwardly right next to the farmer. Their last-ditch effort was to complain to the city about the smell coming from the farm. Hogs are not the best smelling creatures as you could imagine, and with certain wind, that smell does have the ability to travel into a few people's backyards on occasion. The farmer just explained though that this was the natural effect of having a farm in the neighborhood, and he could not stop the smell from traveling through the air. There was no way to contain smell, just like there wasn't any way to contain noise any person made in their yard. The city basically told them to stop complaining about the farmer because his hogs were legal and there to stay as long as he wanted them. I hope they learned that messing with a farmer is a bad idea, because it will end with a hog farm being built in the middle of the neighborhood instead of some nice new houses that they wanted to begin with. Personally, I'm still good friends with this farmer and go to visit him for lunch fairly often. Also, it turned out that one of his hogs was pregnant and let me come and see it give birth and even name one of them. I named the little pig Anarchy because I really felt like it fit the situation. We call her N for short, and I visit her regularly. And yeah, ripe stars, time and time again we see in these stories what happens when you mess with a farmer. It is definitely something you don't want to do. Especially you should not even try that when you come from the city and feel entitled enough to try and dictate what a farmer does on his own property. Especially when he is doing something that is legal. Either way, if you enjoy the stories about farmers and neighbors, then please feel free to post some star emojis in the comments to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance for your amazing daily support.